Good evening and Namaskaram. Hindustan Chamber of Commerce welcomes you all to the Madras Day Celebrations. Today we have talk by Mr. Karthik Bhatt. I request the dignitaries to kindly come onto the stage. I request the speaker Karthik Bhatt, our President Linesh Sanat Kumar, Vice President Praveen Kumar Jatia, Mr. Ram Gopal, Mr. Lakshmi Das, and Mr. Suresh Parekh. I request Mr. Linesh Sanat Kumar, President Hindustan Chamber of Commerce, to deliver the welcome address.
A very good evening to one and all. Thank you so much for being here, and I welcome the speaker, Karthik Bhatt. Thank you, Karthik Bhatt, for being here. I welcome Ram Gopalji. He is the former trustee of and A.B. Parekh founder, and Mr. Suresh Parekh. He is the secretary of the Gujarati Mandal. Of course, Praveen ji, our vice president, doesn't need any introduction at all. I welcome the others visitors, and we do have the team from there. Malvika Bhatt, who is already here. And thank you, Paryajala, and thank you, ma'am, for being here with your team and rest of the guests. Welcome all of you all to the Hindustan Chamber of Commerce. I just give a little bit of brief about our chamber since we are here, and I see quite a few new faces here. So we started way back in 1945. So probably, I mean, this is the 79th year, and October onwards we'll be having the 80th year of celebration, which is going to happen. I'll just take you a little back in the history, and the founder was one Mr. C.M. Kothari. I'm sure you would have heard of Kothari Petrochemicals and a lot of the other Kothari buildings that you come across, and all of them. And Mr. Himchand Shah. These two were the founders of the Hindustan Chamber of Commerce. Well, it so happened that they all came to Chennai and to Tamil Nadu, and after working here for some time, they realized that while we had a Andhra Chamber of Commerce, we had a Tamil Chamber of Commerce, we had a South India Chamber of Commerce, and we also had a Madras Chamber of Commerce. The Madras Chamber of Commerce is the oldest. It is, I think, celebrating the 188th year or something like that. You know, it's been. Huh? Absolutely, thank you for that. So it's been really long. So they really, I mean, they realized that they needed a voice also, and they were basically, I mean, I don't want to use the word North Indian, but at that time it was called so, and they were actually quite new to the state and to Chennai, and mostly getting into trading businesses, and then they started off in manufacturing and all those things. So the voice was required, and they were a good strength by the time, and a lot of them had moved down from say Gujarat and from Rajasthan, and quite a few from Maharashtra also, although they were Gujarati. So this is where the starting actually happened in 19 way back in 1945, and that's how the Chamber of Commerce came into existence. And over a period of time, of course, I don't want to go too much into it, but yes, just as any other chamber, we also doing our activities. We are about we've got some 23 odd committees which are there in the Hindustan Chamber of Commerce, and each committee is like, as you call it, like an MSME committee, a direct tax committee, an indirect tax committee. We have a startup committee which has been relatively new and extremely active. In fact, I must say that it's a feather in the cap for the Hindustan Chamber of Commerce, because we have actually signed up an MOU with the IIT Madras incubation cell. So we never had this classification for startup earlier. We normally have a life member, a startup, I mean life member, annual member, or triennial members. But specifically, we have started this category called as the startup membership. And I must say that we are doing pretty well over there and try to get as much into the ecosystem of startup. So that is one aspect of it. The other aspect is, of course, now the latest development is we are getting into everybody is doing that. So we also thought we should get into and become a little more digital. So we starting a business portal as well. So which is going to enable this thousand odd members who are there. I mean, most of them are the MSME sector, but also there we have about 15% of them who are chartered accountants, CFAs, company secretary, and all of them. So we are just trying to see how businesses can be developed and done amongst the HCC community itself. So that's a little bit of on the Hindustan Chamber of Commerce that I'm filling you all in, and I'm going back to the program of the day. Now, what has happened is we have this member Satyan Bhatt. I think all of you all must have heard of him. He's quite active in the Madras Week and with the Madras Day Celebrations and all that. So I got in touch with him, and he had in fact told me that there was a very important topic that Karthik Bhatt is going to be talking about, and specifically going back into the stages of the immigrants who have come into Tamil Nadu and Chennai. So I said, oh, that will be very appropriate to have the venue as Hindustan Chamber of Commerce. So that's how it is. We are here today at this evening to discuss and speak all about, and probably I think there'll be a lot of gyan and knowledge sharing which will happen, and we'll be going way back in times to understand what is happening and how these immigrants have evolved and how they are making an impact to the local community, as we say. As of now, in fact, I am a Gujarati and I am born and brought up in Chennai. So in fact, when I travel to my to Mumbai and go to Kutch, where I come from, they tell me that even my Tamil sounds like, I mean, my English sounds like Tamil. My Tamil, of course, they do not understand because we are all born and grown up in Chennai, and it's a very colloquial Tamil. Is that vaya vaya Tamil, as you say? You know, where what we learn from the auto rickshaws and whoever we deal with. So anyway, that's nothing to be lamented. I'm just lamenting on that because I would always prefer that I, speak better, more polished Tamil like most of you are here today. So not taking much time, I would thank all of you all for being here and at the Hindustan Chamber of Commerce. So we'll go on with the program. Thank you so much, all of you all, for being here.
Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Anthony Furman, Co-Chairman, Entrepreneurship Development Committee, Hindustan Chamber of Commerce, to introduce the speaker.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Wishing you a fabulous evening. So, first of all, at the outset, I've been part of this series of Madras Week events. So, I came to know how important is history in everyone's life. So, why we should know the history of the state you are living in or the city you are living in. I'm right away going to the introduction of Mr. Karthik Bhatt. So he is a practicing chartered accountant by profession. So at the first glimpse, I want to say I was even astonished while going through his profile. So it is written he's an amateur Tamil theatre artist. I thought some 20 or 30 appearances he would have done. I think he deserves a round of clap. He has done around 400 appearances. He has done around 400 appearances, which is, I think, it's not an easy task for any artist, which is a huge task, which I would say. So then, apart from that, Karthik has been involved in freelance research and writing. So, as academicians, as educationalists, we know how much time one needs to get involved when they involve in research writing, and he has contributed articles on the subject to Madras Musings. So that's one achievement which he has done, and he has done 4 books. He has authored 4 books. I think it's again great accomplishment, and he has been co-author with Sriram Sir. Sriram Sir was a pretty much renowned personality. So that's it. I think now the stage is all his, and I would, in a special manner, put across that this Chennai Heritage, this Madras Week, I guess it's a very useful and it's a pretty knowledge-driven series of events which they do. Because I've personally witnessed a couple of events which they have done, and really it gives a lot of knowledge on what history you need to know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please join us in welcoming our speaker, Mr. Karthik Bhatt, to deliver today's talk.
As we wait for the screen to be unfolded. Very good evening to one and all present here. Thank you so much to the Hindustan Chamber of Commerce, to Mr. Satyan Bhatt for putting together this wonderful evening, Mr. Vinesh ji, and all the committee members. Feels good to be back at the Hindustan Chamber after I think what 8 9 years, because I remember speaking at a Madras Week event in 2016 when Mr. V. Murli was the president of the Hindustan Chamber, and it was a Madras Day event which was I think at the Presidency Club. So it was to commemorate this Madras Week. So after 8 9 years, I'm back here at the Hindustan Chamber at its own home. So good to be here. I've attended as a chartered accountant. I've attended a few seminars here at this very room. So I'm here in a non-conventional capacity addressing here. So anyway, when we were speaking about what could be a potential topic for this evening's talk, I was wondering what different can I speak from what has already been covered over the last say 10 15 years, thanks to my mentor Mr. V. Sriram, and to Mr. Mutaya, who is mentor to all of us over the last late Shri Mutaya, who since the 90s, and even earlier than that, so has been instrumental in developing this heritage awareness. And after his demise, and even when he was alive, Mr. V. Sriram, who over the last 20 25 years has been doing a tremendous body of work and in researching, writing on various aspects of Madras. So I was wondering what new can I really add to what has already been done. And Mr. V. Sriram, as many of you know here, runs a very active YouTube channel where he keeps doing all videos on short videos on reels on various aspects. So that is when I thought, okay, let's try and do something which is probably a little known or a lesser explored facet or aspect of the city. And given the fact that it's the Hindustan Chamber and it was founded by two Gujarati gentlemen, to the community to which I belong to. So I thought, okay, let's try and explore some little known aspects of the early migrant community, particularly with particular reference to the Gujaratis, to the city that we all call home. Ram Gopalji, I don't know, he may have seen parts of this presentation before when I spoke at this Rotary, I think probably about 10 12 years ago, but I've tried to make some tweaks to that, but not any of it, not much of it may be new to him, but I hope over the next half an hour or 40 minutes so I'm able to, grab your attention about the contributions of this wonderful community. The reason why I say that the Gujarati community is probably the oldest migrant community here is this. This is an extract from a Fort St. George diary and consultation book, which is dating to 1703, 1704 or so. So the city as we know it today, the Madras as we know it today. So I'm qualifying this as a chartered accountant. We are used to qualifying statements. So I'm qualifying my statement. So the city as we know it today dates back to 1639 with the formation of Fort St. George. Um, Many parts of the city predate the city itself by several hundreds of years, several thousand years. But the process of the city, the formation of the city as we know it today begins with the formation of Fort St. George in 1639. And so this is 1703, 70. We are talking about probably 60, 70 years since the founding of Fort St. George. Um, may sound racist, but this is the technical terms used. So Fort St. George was White Town, and the area right next to it, just outside it, was Black Town. So see, because when Fort St. George was basically not a fort by any means, or not the fort that we see it as today. So Fort St. George was basically a trading outpost. That was what it was. And so if there were traders, then you had an entire ecosystem of people who were needed to run the businesses and all that. They were traders primarily in cloth. That was the main intention of the East India Company. So a native town, a bustling town soon developed right outside Fort St. George. So that was given the name Black Town as opposed to White Town, which was Fort St. George. And in the early 1700s, as Fort St. George was growing and as their activities were growing, so they thought of building a wall around the native town for enclosing it, a kind of a more protective measure. And so an assessment is made by the governors, by the officials of the Fort St. George, as to which community needs to contribute how much towards the building of that wall, because basically based on the strength, based on the numbers. So you can see the Portuguese. I mean, we're not covering the Portuguese and Armenians because they came from a far off land and they are outside the scope of this talk. But again, two communities with a very rich history of contributing to the social fabric of the city. So, but you look at the Indian communities, you've got the Chettis, the Moormen, got funny spellings here. The Komati Chetty caste, and the Belijivar is the Balijas. So you look at all the the Indian communities who are resident inside Fort St. George and their contributions. You can find the Gujarats, right here at 500 pagodas. So this is the amount they were expected to contribute. And if you look at 500, they are third in the list. The first is the Chetty caste, which was the primarily the Telugus who were the main population here. So they were expected to contribute 2,000 pagodas. And then you had the Komatis who were expected to contribute 800 pagodas. And then you had the Gujaratis who were expected to contribute 500 pagodas. So in terms of importance, we were third in the Gujaratis were third in the rank there. And but their presence per se, I think, would be dated to a few decades earlier as well, even probably the time when the Fort St. George was here, because the Saurashtrian community here dates back to in South India dates back to the 1400s and the 1500s. So from people from Saurashtra, and in Tamil they got a name for themselves called the Patnul Karas. That was what they were known, because they were primarily a weaving community. Of course, the most prominent non-weaver from that community who grew to great fame and heights was the famous playback singer T.N. Soundararajan. So, but the Patnul Karas were there even in the 14 and 1400s. One book which forms a good source of material, which forms a good, the basis for a good portion of my talk today, is a book in Gujarati which will soon complete 100 years. It's a book called Madras Ilakanu Digdarshan, or to translate, it says, loosely translated, it says an overview of the Madras presidency in Gujarati. And this is a book which was published in 1928 by a man, edited by a man called Madhavbhai Gigabai Joshi. And it's printed in Gujarat, but Madhavbhai Gigabai Joshi was the editor of a magazine called the Malabar Samachar, which was being brought out from Kerala. So this was an overview of the Madras presidency, written purely in Gujarati. Of course, I don't take credit for. I cannot read Gujarati. Much like Linesh ji, several generations of ours have been here, born and brought up here in South India. So I can't read Gujarati, but with the help of my aunt or one of my aunts who was able to read Gujarati, so I managed to gather a lot of information which I felt was relevant for this. So there, in the context, you're profiling one of the prominent trading families from the 1920s. I mean, around the time that book was written, if I'm not wrong, it was P.B. Mehta and Sons, if I remember right. So the famous jewelers from the early 1900s. So there, the text says that they descended to South India in the mid 1600s when a lot of their clan were all where a lot of their clan were already living. So that's the date. So I'm presuming that going by that the community should have been here around the 1600s or so. So I was thinking how to structure this talk because if you talk about any one particular aspect of the contribution, like say for example the business aspect or something, I mean we could go on and on and on for 3 days, 4 days. We can have 3 or 4 separate sessions, each covering one particular branch or whatever. So I thought, okay, let us not make it a business centric or an individual centric thing. Though I mean, yes, a lot of prominent individuals will feature in here, but I thought, okay, let's not make this. Let us try and make it a social centric in the sense. So let us try and uh, cover a few major social impacts or few major vestiges of this community that we find still here today in our city. Okay, the building on the right does not exist anymore, but it was at the far end of Mint Street, a building called the Hindu Theological High School. Uh, of course, it's a modernized building, but this is a photograph from probably the 30s or 40s or so. So this is the Hindu Theological High School, and on the left is its founder, R. Shivashankara Pandya. So Shivashankara Pandya was born in 1853, and he was born in Puliyur. How many of you know? I mean, how many of you have heard of Puliyur? I mean, I guess everyone, for those who've not heard of Puliyur, I think everyone has heard of Puliyur because today we know Puliyur to be Kodambakam. So Puliyur is the ancient name for Kodambakam. So was born in Kodambakam, very much a Madras born, and his father Ranganath Pandya he was the Dharmakarta of the ancient Shiva temple in Puliyur. Kodambakam has a very, I mean, of course today it's most famous for the Vadapadni Murugan temple, but there is an older Shiva temple there in Kodambakam. So his father was the Dharmakarta of the thing there, and Shivashankara Pandya actually trained to be a lawyer. I mean, he was a very prodigious student, and he trained to be a lawyer. He practiced lawyer in the as a lawyer in the Tanjavur court and that. He was a nationalist at heart, and he, like many prominent individuals from around that time, from the 1870s and the 1880s. So you must realize there was a time when there was a nationalist awakening, or there were people, there were think tanks which were debating, as to how we were as a society and what is the progress that we were making, and whether that was really the way to go forward. So because you had, I mean, very coincidentally, very interestingly, as we speak, one thing which I'm able to think is that the 1870s was when the Hindu newspaper was born. It was born out of the Triplicate Six, which was basically by formed by a group called the Triplicate Six. So which was basically six individuals who had nationalistic views, and with the so around that time, so he decided to do something so he decided that he had to do something for this nationalist awakening, and that was the time when an event occurred. Of course, today, I mean, I'm not. You'll have to look at it from that context. So, in the 1880s, there was reports of a forcible conversion of a student of the Christian College High, the MCC High School. It was then on NSC Bose Road, what today is NSC Bose Road. It moved to the current campus in Tambaram in the 1920s. So the Madras Christian College. So there were reports of a forced conversion, and that created a lot of uproar there. So and he decided. So this was the time that he had to start an institution which would impart education which has as its base the rich cultural and spiritual heritage of our country. So that was how this Hindu Theological High School was born, with the help of a lot of beneficence from the Gujaratis and the Marwadi community, who were there in the city at that time. And Shivshankara Pandya himself was a Sanskrit scholar, and his house was called the Castle of Diligence. It used to exist on Ekambareshwara Agraha, in Ekambareshwara Agraharam, right next to the Ekambareshwara temple, just on Min Street. So, and he ran a society called the Hindu Tract Society, basically where lectures on various aspects of Hinduism on small, and published small pamphlets around that on various topics. 1897, Swami Vivekananda visits the Hindu Theological High School, and Shivshankara Pandyaji gives an address in Sanskrit, to which Swami Vivekananda also responds. So many prominent Mahatma Gandhi has visited the Hindu Theological High School. So a school with a very, very long and rich, illustrious lineage, founded in 1889, going still strong in 2025. So that's what a good 135, 136 years of history. In fact, but it came to be very strongly associated with the North Indian community for some reason. I mean, probably because of Shivshankara Pandya and the people who were there on the management committee and all that. When the anti-Hindi agitations happened in the 1930s, of course, anti-Hindi is something that we will be speaking about, even we're speaking about even today, and probably we'll keep continuing to speak about it. But anyway, I mean, that aside. So when the anti-Hindi agitations happened in 1937, there was a lot of picketing and demonstrations right outside the Hindu Theological High School, because it was recognized as being a North Indian thing, even though it was far from the truth, because people from all classes of society, from all communities, from not all North Indian communities, non-North Indian, they were also studying there. So, but that was the Hindu Theological High School, founded by Shivshankara Pandyaji. Pandyaji passed away in 1899, so he was only about 45, 46 when he passed away. But within that short span of time, he had created a lot of revolution for those times. Okay, I will move to two connected, or because I call them connected organizations, because of the common sort of cause that they promoted. I think I've got the order of slides wrong, so this should be the first one. So this is an organization called the South Indian Humanitarian League. I'm not sure if, because I've tried to dig into whether it exists now and what are its activities currently and all that, but I've not been able to make much headway. So people here, if anyone can give me some leads into this organization or some contacts, I'll be very happy. But this is a league founded in December 1926 called the South Indian Humanitarian League, and its ideals were basically promoting were two or threefold, and major amongst them was this concept of ahimsa, of jiva karunya, and of not harming animals and being compassionate and kindness and all that. Abolition of consumption of meat, and abolition of alcoholism, giving up alcoholism. So these were two ideals of the two primary ideals of the South Indian Humanitarian League. In 1925, probably 100 years ago, following a lecture on the topic by a famous Jain saint of those times at Ainavaram, at the Dadavadi Devasar in Ainavaram, this organization was formed as an offshoot of that. And you see a name there, Mukchand Hansraj, as one of the trustees. So on the spot, it notes that on the spot he announced a donation of 7,151. So this is in 1928. So he announced a donation of 7,151 on the spot for the formation of such an organization. And you find a lot of the prominent North Indian community here involved with the Humanitarian League. What were its activities? One of the major activity where they had a lot of success also was in stopping animal sacrifices, and these were in places as far as many prominent temples in Chengalpet and in down south also. So there was also an Arcot humanitarian league which was formed as an offshoot of this. So it was largely successful in doing a lot of stopping a lot of animal sacrifices. So that was the South Indian humanitarian league, and its quarterly journal, which was founded in 1935, was called Ahimsa. So this was a journal. A few copies of it are available online. The person, I mean, we were just having a chat before the talk, and a lot of Tamil Jains started, actively involving themselves in this. So you find a name here, Mr. C.S. Madinath, and there's another man also called Jeevabandhu T.S. Shripal. So they were all actively involved with this humanitarian league. And you find these names also in connection with the Jaina Gazette. Jaina Gazette is a magazine primarily, I mean, mainly for the Jain community, which was published here in the Madras from the 1920s onwards. So we've had a rich, a rich literary and a cultural, come a social kind of a contribution from in the early 1920s onwards. So South Indian Humanitarian League, what happens to it after that? I mean, my trail runs cold after the 30s and the 40s. So if anyone is able to give me some more information on this, I would be happy to, expand my talk. Yes, sir. Jinarajadasa. Yeah, yeah. Jinarajadasa and Dorothy and his wife Dorothy Jinarajadasa, they were prominent members here, I mean, of Chennai society, back then. So you can find them involved in a lot of causes. Yes, it had a lot to do with the Theosophical movement also, because, many members, they were also members of the Theosophical Society. The other connected organization that I would like to speak about, with which a lot of you people here are familiar with, is the Pinjra Pole in Ainavaram. Of course, this one predates the South Indian Humanitarian League by a good 2 decades. So this was, if you can read the plaque, the foundation stone was laid by the governor of Madras then in 1906, and the land of 12 acres, the initial land of 12 acres, was gifted by prominent Gujarati family of Madras, the Giridhar Das Chaturbhuja Das and Diwan Bahadur Govind Das Chaturbhuja Das family, in the memory of their family member Chaturbhuja Das Kushal Das. So here you have a photograph of Govind Das Chaturbhuja, Diwan Bahadur Govind Das Chaturbhuja Das, the man mentioned there. So he was from a family called the Chaturbhuj Das, Kushal Das and company. He was a sheriff of Madras as early at the age of 35. The business dates back to the 1820s, primarily from banking, and then it moved on to various other indigenous banking basically, and then moved on to various other trading and things like that. Yet another contribution of this Kushal Das, Chaturbhuj Das Kushal Das, you can find is even today is outside the Flower Bazaar police station. The statue of King George was one of the contributions of. He funded the statue of the statue that you see outside the Flower Bazaar police station. But until the 1940s or so, this Pinjara Pole was under the management of the more famous or the more well-known SPCA, the Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and then after that, their paths take a divergent turn, and they diverge. And so many prominent members. I mean, even it's very active. Run and very well run. Even today, in on Konur High Road in Ainavaram, and it's a place where the cows are basically infirm cows are tended to very lovingly, caringly, rehabilitated, and a lot of activity. You can find a lot of social service organizations in Chennai which have which plan activities to the Pinjara Pole as a way of as some of their outreach activities. So very well run by the primarily by the Gujarati and Marwadi community here, the Madras Pinjara Pole. Today, of course, this is a building that is more famous for or more renowned for the canteen that runs inside. But I couldn't get an old image of the Gujarati Mandal much as I tried. but one organization which has had a very vibrant very vibrant contribution to the city is the Gujarati Mandal, which incidentally celebrates 100 years this year, founded in 1925. So, by a group of Gujarati youth from that time, mainly with the objective of being socially relevant, so doing a lot of social contributions, and also to actively involve themselves in being as being representatives of the community here in South India. The first, I was just reading up, it was wonderful to read that the first president of the Gujarati Mandal was a man by name Vidyasagar Pandya. Pandya was a very renowned name in the banking, in the world of banking. So he was secretary to the Indian Bank for a very long time. So Indian Bank from 1906 or 19 when the story of Indian Bank begins. So Vidyasagar Pandya was one of the he came from a family of auditors. I think his father was Vasantaram, who was an auditor, and of course he came from Lahore. So, but Vidyasagar Pandya was the first president of the Gujarati Mandal. The Gujarati Mandal's contributions included, gathering contributions for various calamities, and not only in the home state, in their home state of Gujarat, but also locally, in South India, where a lot of famines and floods regularly, routinely, gathering funds for that, and then distributing relief material and all of that. So that is the so that was one of their major contributions. But more interesting, which I found out, was their involvement in the independence movement. So this was a report that I managed to dig out. This is from 1941, and this is from one of the old Indian Express news archives that are available online. And this concerns a man called Mohanlal Mehta, who was first vice president, and then later he became a few years later became a president of the Gujarati Mandal also. And so 1940-41 was the time when the individual satyagraha movement was at its peak. So basically, um, people wrote to Mahatma Gandhi offering satyagraha, and so when Gandhi gave his acceptance, they offered individual satyagraha. Basically, it was a non-violent movement of signaling their non-cooperation, or their protest against the government. So here you find the vice president of Gujarati Mandal from that time offering satyagraha. So he was reading the end. I couldn't download the entire report, but reading that snapshot, it said that he was a prominent member of the Gujarati community there. He was employed in one of the cloth dealers there in Saukarpet, and he offers satyagraha, and he's promptly arrested. He says, I mean, if silently protesting is deemed to be a violent act, yes, I mean, I've committed violence. So there is nothing, I don't offer anything in defense. So that was the thing, very simple. So people who are actively involved, so Gujarati Mandal, you can find, its share. And also another interesting thing that I found was this one. So this is from the early years of independent India, so 1947. All of you, I mean, when we attained independence, we find, there is this question of the princely states. There were nearly 530 or 540 princely states which were existing within the Indian dominion. So the question of what happens to their administration and all that was hanging heavy, and then you had Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, going hammer and tongs, and making great efforts at unification of them into the Indian Union. But there was this Maharaja of Junagadh, in Kathiawar. So Junagadh was being ruled by a Muslim. So it became natural for them, but that they accede to Pakistan when Pakistan is formed. But what they didn't, what they didn't take into account was the fact that more than 80% of Kathiawar of Junagadh were Hindus. So it created a kind of a civil unrest there, and the Indian government, Nehru, forcibly took over the administration of Junagadh. And then in 1948, there was a plebiscite. Basically, when the word plebiscite is basically you conduct an open vote where you see what the people really want, and the majority were overwhelmingly in favor of joining the Indian Union. So, but you find here the Gujarati Mandal, very interesting to find, that word say the only representative body of Gujarati residing in Madras, including residents of Junagadh state, convey the unanimous protest of the Gujaratis here against the accession of Junagadh to Pakistan. So here you have, they are so actively involved against, in this in independent India. So that was the social cause of this wonderful thing. Of course, Gujarati Mandal also had its I think the Pragati Nagar Housing Society in Ambattur, where Pragati Nagar is a very prominent locality in Ambattur. So that owes its origins to the work done by the Gujarati Mandal. And a lot of institutions, in some way or the other, have been supported by the Gujarat. A lot of institutions like the AB Parekh, and then there was the Sahayakari Hospital, the PTB, the Parathiben Trikamchi, but Sahayakari Hospital is still around, sir, or is it closed? It's closed. Everything was recently closed. My mother says that I owe my life there to the Sayakari Hospital, because as a kid of hardly a few months old, there was some bout of, I think, either a diarrhea or something, which, and I had to be put on drip, and there was some nurse at the Sayakari Hospital who actually kept me alive and afloat. So the Gujarati Sayakari Hospital, and then the AB Parekh School, and a lot of other things a lot of institutions have been directly or indirectly been supported by the Gujarati Mandal here. So that is yet again one thing. I mean, I thought I should talk about, because of the fact that it is celebrating its centenary. I hope someday there is an effort to fully document the history of the Gujarati Mandal, sir. So which will bring to light a lot of other unknown facts and all that. So, oh, lovely, lovely, sir. Okay. Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely. So there we are. So I mean, as historians, we always keep saying, or rather, as people involved in documentation, we always say the first initiative should come from within. I mean, getting out people from outside to do your history is good. I mean, they can help compile it, but then the first initiative should come from within. So it's good that Gujarati Mandal has already done something of that sort. Uh, oh, lovely. Oh, super, super. Lovely, lovely. So nice to hear, sir. Nice to hear. So this is a photograph of Purushottam Das, Gokul Das of Messrs. Gokul Das, Jamna Das and Company, known as GDJD, as they were popularly known, and they were primarily from Gokul Das, Jamna Das, primarily cloth traders. So GDJD was a very prominent name in the trading community for cloth, and this is a photograph of their showrooms on NSC Bose Road from the 1920s. This photograph is from that book, so this is around the 1928-29 or so. So the Gokul Das, Jamna Das and Company, again a family with a rich heritage and history. Haridas ji, the senior advocate of the famous senior advocate, is a descendant of these Gokul Das, Jamna Das family. Srinath Bagh, Navraji Road, where the family resides, again in a beautiful heritage bungalow, very very well maintained and well taken care of by Haridas ji. So this is one of their contributions. This is a hospital called the CSI Rainey Hospital in Tandiarpet. So this is a ward that was gifted by that family from there. Uh, Gokuldas Jamnadas, of course, coming to the 1950s and 60s, the other contribution of theirs, the initiative which came there from, was the formation of the Vallabhacharya Vidya Sabha in 1964, when the Vaishnav College was founded. So primarily from the North Indian community, from you had Marwaris, you had Agarwals, I mean, you had Gujaratis, all of them coming together to form a college which would predominantly cater to the North Indian community. So there is D. Vaishnav College in Arumbakam, founded in 64, which was their first creation. And then after that, a lot of other, you've got the Kola Perumal, the Kola Saraswati, and then you have the MOB Vaishnav College, founded in 91. So all of that, dates its origins or dates its roots into the Vallabhacharya Vidya Sabha, which was founded primarily to promote education. We have a descendant of the family sitting right here in the audience, Ram Gopal ji, and I owe this part of the presentation. I mean, I'll be winding up soon, so this part of the presentation to Ram Gopalji, because both of these pictures are from a book that he gave me a copy of. This is from a book called Two Worthies of Southern India, and this was written by a man called Vadivelu, and this was way back in 1903. So, Two Worthies of Southern India. On the left is Krishnadas Balamukundas, and also it's a father and son duo. On the left, you have Krishnadas Balamukundas, and on the right, you have Lord Govindas. Of course, in a thoroughly undeserved and thoroughly, what shall I say, bordering on the meme, also a meme which became a meme template and all that, is this thing of this nonsensical theory that Lord Labagdas was some other from Lord Labog Dash, who was a kind-hearted governor of Madras. And I mean, what sort of nonsense? I mean, WhatsApp University never ceases to amaze. And this thing is, I mean, one forward that you got 10 years ago from person X would come back to you 10 years later from person Y, Z, W, and suddenly they'll keep recycling all these memes. So basically, Lod is Ladla. I mean, it's a corruption of Lad or Ladla, loving. So, and I've had the good fortune of being to Rangopalji's residence and partaking at their Krishna Jayanti celebrations and all that. So this Lord Krishnadas Balamkundas and Lord Govindas, who in the 1860s and 70s onwards, probably the richest family in South India. So they were into a lot of primarily banking and indigenous banking and finance, money lending. So that was the line of activity, and they were involved in a lot of social causes here, vestiges of which can still be seen today in the city. This is Peters Gardens. This bungalow sadly was, I think, probably was in existence until the 1990s or so, if I remember right. So, in 2010 or 11, when 2009, yes, when we did a walk, a heritage walk, themed around, I think, on Vivekananda's Madras, because we did a heritage tour on Swami Vivekananda, the places that he visited here in Madras. So we were fortunate in going to probably what was the last part of this building. It was kind of a, probably not part of the main building, but it was part of the main campus then. So it was around until 2009-10 or so. So this is Peters Gardens, which was the residence of Krishnadas Balamukundas and Lord Govindas. So basically, Peters Gardens today, to give the exact location of Peters Gardens, it would be roughly around where the Satyamurthy Bhavan stands, the Congress headquarters. So the Congress headquarters came up on land which was given by the family, because they were into the Gandhian. I mean, they were followers of Gandhi and of Mahatma Gandhi. They were very fiercely nationalistic and all that. So Vivekananda has visited Peters Gardens, and Peters Gardens has also been home. It has also hosted the interesting events, like the Music Academy had one of its conferences here in the 1930s, had its conference here at the Peters Gardens. And the around the same time, one of the Swadeshi exhibitions, which the Congress committee used to hold from time to time, one of them was held at the Peters Gardens. In fact, that was the year when there was a fire also there. So when it burnt down a lot, so there was a lot of inquiry and stuff like that. But all that happened in Peters Gardens. So Krishnadas Padamukundas. So this is a thing. Of course, this is a derelict. This is a derelict building even 15 years ago when the photo. Now half the building has vanished. So it's only one half that still remains. Or I don't know. Probably most of it would have crumbled now. So this is a building called the Umda Bagh, and inside. I mean, this is inside the Madrasa ISM on Mount Road. So this used to be the residence of Krishnadas Balamukundas, one of the residents of Krishnadas Balamukundas. And when the Madrasaism, Umda Bagh is basically Urdu. Umda means noble, so it was nobility. So so has a very the scorpion kind of a thing, two fangs of a scorpion, and there's a palace which one of the residences. And when the when there are plans to start a madrasa for the school, the Muslim community, and all that, Krishnadas Balamukundas gives away the thing at a fraction of the market value. So because it's being used for the noble purpose of education, so this is again, I mean, so we don't, yeah, of the Muslim community. So for the Madrasaism, so there was the thing of Madrasaism. I mean, for those who have not been there, the other part of that campus or the next campus is the Qaeda Millet thing on Mount Road, opposite Spencer's parking. Yeah, so where it used to be the venue for the book fair for a very long time in the 1990s. So next compound, so on this side of on main Mount Road, so this is the entrance, and sadly, I mean, that is the importance we give for heritage and thing. Anyway, I mean, I'm not here to go into final aspects of that, but that was one of his prominent contributions of Lord Govindas himself. Krishnadas Balamuta's son himself was active. He was one of the councillors of the Madras Corporation, representing his ward, and he had a lot of donations that he dedicated to the society. So one was a baby's home for for newborn children, for nourishing newborn children and all that. And then there's a family shrine also. I think on the first floor, AV Park, next to AV Park, there's a small shrine, temple which was endowed by that family there. And so again, a very very illustrious, the Lord family. Uh, Okay, so coming back to the story of Lord Lubbock Das, so Lord Lubbock Das, it's probably derived from the Lord family, who had a lot of prominence, who had a lot of good things to do for the society. So that is, so Periyal Lada Kapina probably could have meant to say, are you, such a big man, showing off your riches. So I think that should have been the, connotation from which it came out first. But then anyway, so that's how history gets distorted. But and another two other things of Krishnadas Balamukundas. On the left is building on Nangapanakan Street. No, or, it's still there, sir. I don't know. Yeah, so it's a building called the Chendapuri Annadana Samajam. So founded in the 1880s by a man called Mogalur Kannaya Chetty. So the 1870s and 80s, you must realize, was a time when when the Great Famine was happening, which led to the Great Famine, which led to the construction of the Buckingham Canal in the 1870s. So a lot of people were dying, and the starvation was really. So this Mughal Kanech, himself of limited means, but he decides to found an organization which would basically feed people. So that is how the concept of an Annadana Samajam is founded. So in 1880, in 1880 or 83, I'm not medical right now, but that was how the Chennapuri Annadana Samajam was founded. And the main building, so when it got a permanent home, the main building the building you see on the left was funded by Lord Krishnadas Balamukundas. In fact, on the top there is an inscription. Of course, you can't see it; it's a very old photograph, but on the it says this is a gift of Lord Krishnadas Balamukundas. So Annadana Samajam was again creation of. On the right is a statue which used to stand until recently, until the metro came over, and and then when the government estate also was taken, was demolished to build the multi-specialty hospital and all that. The statue of King Edward, there was again a contribution of the family to the city. So this is, okay. Before you wind up, I don't have a slide. I don't have a slide because I couldn't find enough of photographs or enough of things. But this is about the chamber itself, the organization which has provided the platform this evening. As Dinesh ji was mentioning, founded in 1945-46 by two prominent two prominent Gujarati businessmen. One, of course, Mr. Chandu Mohan Kotari, CM Kotari, the group which dates back to the 1919-1920s or so. So he pioneered. He was one of the founders of the Madras Stock Exchange, and he pioneered the concept of safe deposit lockers. So started the Madras safe deposit lockers, and the Kotari family, of course, now is diversed into so many groups and all that. And in fact, I was going through the names of some of the chamber members, and then many from the family. I think H.C. Kotari, you've got a H.C. Kotari Memorial Hall here, who all here. This is one. So where we are sitting. So they've had an active role to play in the formation of the chamber right from its inception. The other man was Rai Bahadur Himchand K. Shah. And I tried digging up a bit of because didn't seem to be enough of details about him. So Rai Bahadur, what I was able to find out was that Rai Bahadur Himchand Kesha was a partner, or he was the managing director of a company called M. Jeevanlal and Company. And Jeevanlal and Company were they were making this utensils, the Crown brand aluminium. They were into aluminium basically. Their brand was the Crown brand. That was the utensils in the Jeevanlal. Of course, not incorporated here. It is incorporated in Calcutta, 1929. So, in fact, if you look at the thing, it says M. Jeevanlal and Co. 1929. That's the trade name, and it had branches in Rajamundry, in Aden, in in Bombay, in Madras, and all that. So, anode is aluminium. So, this Rai Bahadur Himchand Shah was he was the managing director of he was an alumnus of the Gujarati Vidyapeeth, the famous Gujarati Vidyapeeth founded by Mahatma Gandhi in 1920. So, this Rai Bahadur Himchand Kesha, he had a stint here in Madras, and then he moved over to Calcutta and then comes back to Madras in 1945-46 or so. In fact, the Gujarati Mandal also organizes a reception for him and talks about his contributions to the community and all that. So since for and the intention of the chamber, which I was able to read a bit of it in one of the news reports, was that to watch over the progress of the development of business and business interests here in South India, in Madras and in South India. So and over the years, just like any other chamber of commerce, any other good chamber of commerce would do, you had a lot of representations on various topics on topics which have not necessarily concerning big businesses, but also something as simple as say price rise of commodities or essentials which impacted the common man. So so there have been representations. Many prominent people have come here and spoken. Ministers, basically they've had trade delegations on various topics and various on various. So they've joined hands with other chambers of commerce on topics of common interest and all that. So that I think is a good way to. So 80 years celebrating the Sadabhishekam soon. So I think this is a good moment to wind up this evening's talk. So thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. What I have touched upon is not even even within these people who have been covered here, not even a fraction of their contributions. More so, not even a fraction of a contribution of the vibrant North Indian community here. What is very gratifying, which I will hold as a very personal achievement, is that coming off from a far off land, the North Indian community has made this part of this region its home and has contributed so much to the development of this region, while at the same time holding on to its own cultural values and ethos and tradition. So that I think is the biggest this amalgamation that they've managed to do of both of two sort of cultures, if I can put it that way. Thank you so much, and have a nice evening.
Thank you, sir.
Uh, we have our Lakshmi Das Bhai right at you. Please step forward, sir. Avijo, come. We actually have three luminaries here, and they have been very active as far as of course, all of us heard. And even I myself didn't know that, we have Lord, instead of saying Ram Gopalji, I think we should have said the word Lord Ram Gopalji, who is the grandson of the Lord Govinda's Gopal Krishna, absolutely. So let's put our hands together once for him. And thank you, sir, for being here. And Shuril Bhai Parekh is, of course, the secretary of the Sri Gujarati Mandal, and they are having their centenary celebration. So I was thinking it was very appropriate for them to be here when we are talking about the Madras Week, and Karthik is taking us way back in times of evolution and how the immigrants have come, and basically it's the more to do with the Gujarati community. And here we have our our Lakshmidas Bhai Raikata. And yeah, little more louder, please. So he's been very active at the Luhara Samaj, and we'll hear a few words from him also. So we can go ahead with Ram Gopalji's talk. A few words from him. He's also, sorry to interrupt, he's also the president of the AB Parekh School, which Karthik had just mentioned. And I think they are one of the oldest Gujarati school, which is about 75 years old, I suppose. So he's also the president of that.
I thank Linesh for inviting me to this August gathering. Basically, we Gujaratis have always become part and parcel of places wherever we are in the world. Whether it is Chennai, whether it's Toronto, or whether it's New Jersey, or wherever it is, we become part and parcel of the place. And I'm happy that people here have now understood a little of the contribution done by the Gujaratis and the North Indian communities to the Chennai city. And in fact, Gujarati Mandal has been elaborated by him. AB Parekh Gujarati Vidya Mandir, of which I am the president, is 70 years old. We have produced so many scholars and so many children who have studied. It's an aided school. And my father contributed a building for Lord Gopal Krishnadas Govinda School, matriculation school in those days, 1969. Basically, for a reason, I studied in a convent school where Hinduism was not taught, where Bible was taught. So my father had in mind that we should teach Hinduism. When the school was started, we had all Anglo-Indian teachers along with a teacher to teach Bhagavad Gita. That was the basic idea of starting the school, where we have got children studying in the school, they have become doctors, engineers, everything. I'm happy that the school is now celebrating its 70th year. In fact, every Gujarati or every North Indian who has come here has never felt away from home. It has become a part and parcel of their life. He has not come here to do business. He has come here to become a part of the community. That is the way we have been thinking. Whether it is and we have been celebrating all the festivals of Tamil Nadu and Gujarat together. There is no any separation of North India and South India. See, this is a political game. A lot of people play. That is a different thing. But basically, we have merged. Everybody has merged with the society, and everybody's contribution is seen in a small way as a development of the whole India as such, not any particular part of India. And I'm thankful for giving me this opportunity, and thankful to Karthik for putting up the photograph of my grandfather and great grandfather, and a little contribution whatever he has done and to the society. Definitely, I should also be a part of the contribution. I'm trying to do my best. Anyway, thank you once again for giving me this opportunity.
Good evening, everybody. See, I came during 1969 here. So, my total education in Gujarati medium from the Junagadh, what Mr. Karthik taught actually about in college. So, I will speak now in Gujarati. ગુજરાતી બંદર નવું બિલ્ડિંગ બ્રોડવે તો મારા ખ્યાલથી 1969 માં થયું ને 69-70 કે જે જોશી મારા પડોશી હતા બાબુભાઈ એમ મોહનલાલ એન્ડ કંપની એમની સાથે એ મારા વડીલ બહુ સરસ રિલેશન અને એ વખતના ટાઈમમાં ગુજરાતી સાહિત્ય પરિષદનું અધિવેશન થયેલું અને જૂનું જે ગુજરાતી મંડળ ભાડાની મકાન જગ્યા હતી એનએસસી મોજ રોડ એમાં બહુ સરસ એક રીચ લાઇબ્રેરી હતી અત્યારે બી કદાચ હશે ત્યાં હું ઓલમોસ્ટ વીકમાં બે વખત જતો ત્યાં. મને પોતાને વાંચવાનો શોખ ઘણો બધો, કારણ કે અમારે જે ગુજરાતની જુનાગઢ મારો કોલેજ લાઈફ હતું એમાં નરસિંહ મહેતાની જયંતિ વખતે ઓલ ઇન્ડિયા રેડિયો ઉપરથી પ્રોગ્રામ આખો જાહેર કરવામાં આવે ત્યારે બધા કવિ અને લેખકો જુનાગઢમાં ભેગા થાય. ત્યારે ટીવી હતું નહીં, વોટ્સએપ હતું નહીં, એટલે ઓલ ઇન્ડિયા રેડિયોની રાહ જોઈને બેઠા હોય અને 4-5 કલાકનો પ્રોગ્રામ ચાલે. તેમાં આપણા ઘણા બધા કિશનસિંહ ચાવડા ને મનસુખલાલ ઝવેરી આ બધા આવી ગયેલા. અને જુનાગઢ જે છે એ પણ સાહિત્યની દ્રષ્ટિએ ખૂબ જ આગળ પડતું હતું. મારા વખતમાં તખ્તસિંહજી બલવાન ત્યારે ત્યાં ગુજરાતના પ્રોફેસર હતા અને ઓલમોસ્ટ એ વખતે ઉમાશંકર જોશીએ એક બુધવારિયું રાખેલું. દર બુધવારે ભેગા થાય બધા સાહિત્યકારો, સાહિત્યના શોખીન કવિ લેખકો. એના ઉપરથી અમારા તખ્તસિંહજી બલવાને અમારા વખતમાં મંગળવારિયું ચાલુ કરેલું. દર મંગળવારે ગુજરાતીનો શોખ હોય એ બધાના બેટિંગ થાય. એમાં 40-50 જણા આવે. એ વખતના ટાઈમમાં મારા ખાસ ફ્રેન્ડમાં રાજેન્દ્ર શુક્લ અને પદોજ ખંડેરિયા એ લોકો બધાએ અત્યારે આપણા જય વસાવડાના ફાધર લલિત વસાવડા એ પણ ત્યારે આવતા. ત્યાં ખૂબ ખૂબ મજા આવતી. અહીંયા પણ આપણે શરૂઆતમાં પ્રોગ્રામ ઘણા સારા થતા હતા ગુજરાતી પંડિતમાં. અત્યારે બધું પ્રોફેશનલ થઈ ગયું છે એટલે કદાચ વધારે માણસો નહીં આવતા હોય, પણ સુરેશભાઈને વિનંતી કરીશ કે આવા વર્ષમાં એટલીસ્ટ 2-3 વખત કે કોમન પ્રોગ્રામ રાખે કે જે ગુજરાતીઓ બધા એટેન્ડ કરી શકે. એ બધે એકબીજાની ઓળખાણ પણ થાય. ત્યારે તો મદ્રાસ મિસ્ટેટમાં સમાયેલું હતું. અત્યારે મદ્રાસ ખૂબ ડેવલપ થઈ ગયું છે અને ગુજરાતીઓ બી સ્કેટર થઈ ગયા છે. એના માટે જરૂરી છે કે એટલીસ્ટ વન પ્રોગ્રામ ઇન એ યર 5-7 કલાક માટે ભેગા થાય માણસો તો મજા આવે. એના માટેના ડોનેશન મળી રહે એવું છે. પ્રોબ્લેમ આવે એવો નથી. થેન્ક યુ.
Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Linesh Sanat Kumar, President HCC, to kindly honor the speaker for today, Mr. Karthik Bhatt. Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Hiranji to kindly felicitate Mr. Ram Gopal. Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Mehta to kindly felicitate Mr. Suresh Parekh. Thank you, sir. I request Mr. Suresh Parekh, Secretary Sri Gujarati Mandal, to deliver the vote of thanks. Excuse me. I request our President Linesh Sanat Kumar to kindly felicitate Mr. Lakshmidas Vaidnathan. Thank you, sir.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Just I want to add one more thing in the script of Karthik Bhatt that in 1919, Javeri Purushottam Harilal Gujarati Kanya Kelavadi Mandal was started. So they have completed 100 years, 107 years, and it is going on well. And Rohit Bhai Mehta, he is the secretary of Javeri Purushottam Harilal Gujarat, Manilal and Mehta Girls Higher Secondary School. Respected dignitaries, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Hindustan Chamber of Commerce, it is my proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion of Madras Day Celebration. First and foremost, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Karthik Bhatt for delivering such an enlightening and engaging talk. Your words have not only highlighted the heritage of our beloved city, but also deepened our appreciation of unique legacy. On our sincere thanks to Sri Linesh Bhai Sundarani, President of Hindustan Chamber of Commerce, for his constant support and leadership, and to Sri Ramesh Bhai Bhatt, President, who is not here, Gujarati Mandal, giving permission to grace this occasion. We are also grateful to all the members, invitees, and well-wishers who have taken time from their busy schedules to join us in this evening. Your encouragement makes every event meaningful. A word of thanks to our organization committee, staff, and volunteers who have tirelessly efforts have ensured the smooth conduct of today's program. Finally, we thank you all once again for your presence and participants. We look forward to meeting you at many more such celebration of our city's glorious journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for your presence today.
Good experience. Good experience, sir. Very nice, sir. Photo. I think I'm going to zoom on the back at the time. ನಾನು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೆ ವಿಚ್ ಟು ಟುಗೆದರ್ ನೀವು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ I have already done for Glory Dot. So I want to go. I have not done many. I hope I know this one. Better. Second one, the second one.
I can do second one.
Yeah, you can, I think. Get the whole
Yes, sir. Somebody send me. Only one allowed. Thank you.
That's a separate thing. Separate.
Okay.
Save connected, morning file is sorted.
Sure.